Yes, sir.
Okay, so we continue our introduction to the topic of machine drawing, that is the title of this course. So, in the previous lecture, I described to you the importance of drawing, why it is important. Then we discussed some recap of the engineering graphics course that you had done. And then we had seen that uh, the different methods of projection in drawing, which included perspective projection, orthographic projection, and towards the end we discussed something about first angle projection and third angle projection. So with that basic understanding about the drawing, we jump ahead on discussing specifically about machine drawing. So here, just to give an overview again, so drawing as we understand now, it is a graphical language to communicate the ideas, and drawings can precisely be used to express shape or size of any product. And machine drawing specifically involves, or how it is different than the graphics that you have done. So this machine drawing typically involves drawing of machine parts. So these machine parts, they can be, like rivets or threaded fasteners, or they can be different type of joints, pin joints, okay, pipe couplings, shaft couplings, and all. So the objective of this course is to understand those type of drawings of machine parts, okay, and then also understand how different parts are assembled together for complete working of a given component. For any mechanical engineer, it is very important to basically prepare how we can prepare these drawings, and then how we can correctly read them. So I will give you an example of what a typical machine drawing looks like. So in the slide, you can see the schematic of a tailstock. So this tailstock, it is basically a part on the lathe machine which supports the long workpieces. So if some of you have not seen the lathe machine, means we had discussed something about the lathe machine in the PRT course. So lathe machine, it is a very versatile machine tool which is used to produce parts by removing excess material uh, in the form of chips. So this lathe machine has this component shown here. It's known as the tailstock. So now if we talk of machine drawing, so machine drawing, what it will do, so machine drawing is involved to understand how this tailstock is functioning, or what are the different sub components in this tailstock. So as shown above, so our focus is as shown above here. So we have to see how the different sub assemblies or sub components in this tailstock are assembled. So predominantly this tailstock, as shown here, it has seven parts. Like it has a body, it has a center, it has a hand wheel, there are two screws, there is a washer, and there is a nut. So this table shown here, it is also known as the bill of material. So any machine drawing will include this bill of material. So in the bill of material, basically we specify different parts of a complex assembly. Then we also specify what material it is made up of. So in the second column here, what you see, it is the material specification. Okay. So like it is shown here, the body, it is made up of CI. So here CI basically stands for cast iron. So we have standard abbreviations that we will discuss. So this basically stands for cast iron. So cast iron, it is an alloy of iron, and then predominantly it is iron, then some carbon and some other elements are added. Then in the next column, we have the quantity. So we have one quantity of body, one quantity of the center. So center is here basically an alloy steel. Then hand wheel, this is made up of cast steel. Screws and washer and nut, they are made up of MS. So MS basically stands here for mild steel. So MS is basically indicating that it is the material of mild steel. So mild steel is again alloy of carbon, sorry, predominantly iron, and then carbon is there, then some manganese and some other alloying elements are added. So our objective of this course is basically to come up with such drawings of different machine components which show us other details other than this bill of materials. So you will see the other details mentioned in the orthographic projections. So predominantly the front view and the side view of the tailstock is being represented here. Additionally, what you will observe that different set of dimensions are also shown in this machine drawing. And then what is shown, how different components or subcomponents as shown here, they are assembled together to make the complete part working. So this is an like typical example, and this is like the last objective of this course, that you should be able to draw such drawings, you should be able to read such drawings, and you should understand the meaning of each and every line or the feature that is drawn on this machine component. So you should understand what is the meaning of this hatched pattern. You should understand what is the meaning of this thick line as shown here, or the thin line, or what are other different symbols which are present on the machine drawing component. So this is the main objective of this course. And as I mentioned earlier, so very soon you will be given the SolidWorks licenses on which you will be practicing. We will not go directly jump into drawing such complex assemblies. Rather, we will go step by step. And then once you practice, so then you will understand how to use the software and come up with such drawings. So moving ahead, I will now discuss some classification of the drawings. So in machine drawing also, there are other types of drawings which are used. So the objective of this course is primarily to understand the machine drawing and production drawing. So we will understand what is a machine drawing and a production drawing. So machine drawing is basically the drawing which pertains to parts of the machine or component. And again, for most of the complex machine parts, it is the orthographic projections which are being used. So every now and then, what is being done is that we use the orthographic projection. So why we use the orthographic projection? So this is for one sole reason, that the size and shape of the component is fully understood in an orthographic projection. In an isometric projection, it is very difficult to see the internal details of different features present on any component, but those features can be easily understood in an orthographic view. So orthographic view is a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional object, in which typically we are using the front view and the side view. So as shown below in this schematic here, so this is basically a machine drawing of a hub assembly which with three holes drilled here. And in from the front view you can see that it looks like a circular part, and from the side view you can understand what is the diameter of different holes and what is the positioning of different holes. So we will be drawing such type of drawings, but before we actually draw such drawings, we will also understand the importance of different type of lines, different type of hatch patterns and all, which are used in different machine components. The another type of drawing that we have to deal with in this course are the production drawings. So production drawings, they are slightly different than the machine drawings, because production drawing, they have the complete information of producing a part on a shop floor. So shop floor is basically an place where the actual manufacturing of any part takes place. So this production drawing, other than having the details of dimensions, it should have other details which include the details of surface finish. Okay, what type of surface finish is required? So if we need a surface which is quite rough, or we need a surface which is very smooth, so we quantify this smoothness or roughness of any surface using a parameter known as surface finish, or there is a inverse parameter to it known as surface roughness. We have instruments to measure those, and those type of details, they are mentioned on the drawing in addition to the dimensional details. So the production drawing, it should also have the complete information about the tolerances. So tolerances are basically deviation in the dimension of any part. So why tolerances are provided? So tolerance, the main objective of providing tolerances on any component is for the sole reason that in any manufacturing process, it is very difficult to produce a part with exact same dimension every single time. So even you have the most precise machine tools or hand tools available with you, even with the most skilled manpower, the dimension of the part is not going to come up same every time. So there will be always slight deviation. So this deviation, this slight deviation, there is acceptable limit is always defined within which that deviation is accepted. So for example, shown on this schematic, so here it is shown the diameter of the hub is 75 plus minus 0.5. So this means so we accept the deviation between this range. Okay, so this tolerances, they have to be also provided on the machine to on the production drawing of the machine component. So now you understand the difference between a machine drawing. So a machine drawing typically has only the dimensions, but the production drawing, in addition to the dimensions, it also will have details of surface roughness, tolerances, limits, fits, and those type of details. So this is a more detailed version which helps the person on the shop floor to look at the drawing and then produce the actual part using a suitable manufacturing process. So objective of this course is primarily dealing with the machine drawing and the production drawing, so that we will see in the subsequent modules. Other than these drawings, we have part drawing. So part drawing, basically it gives a complete description of dimensions and assembly of any component to facilitate its manufacturing. So we have other because in any part, it is not only a single part, but there are multiple parts which are assembled together in order to make it or enable it to function properly. So part drawing will give you the complete picture of different sub assemblies which are again used. So this is somewhat similar to machine drawing, but in this case we deal each component separately. Then there is assembly drawing. So assembly drawing basically shows us the way how which the various components in a machine, they are located properly and how they are assembled. As shown here, I am showing here an example again of a crank. So crank is basically a location where the crankshaft is fitted in internal combustion engine for transferring the power. So it will show all the dimension details of different parts, like it is showing here a bolt with a nut. Okay, so it is also showing here a hole with a keyway, so where the shaft will come. So we will discuss these type of details: what is a keyway, what is a bolt, what is a nut, and these type of details are then presented on this assembly drawing. Assembly means different parts which are produced separately, like there is a fastener, there is a shaft, and how all these parts, they are assembled together to enable the machine component to function properly. So in the assembly drawing also, we will present the sub component name, material of the sub component, and the quantity of the sub component in the part list, or we also call it as bill of material. Then there is another of drawing which is known as catalog drawing. Catalog drawing, these are only having some pertinent in particular for a potential customer or a buyer. So they don't have the details which are helpful in manufacturing any product, but they are helpful in specifying the external details or external dimensional details of any product which may interest to a potential buyer. So now and often, if you go to any shop to purchase some some say some part or some component, so typically what the shopkeeper or the showroom will have, they will have a catalog drawing. So generally we ask for catalog of any product. So catalog will have only those dimensional details which may be of interest to a customer, not an engineer, not a manufacturing expert. So this is known as the catalog drawing category. Then next is the exploded assembly drawing. So exploded assembly drawing gives the exploded pictorial representation of different components. So as shown here, this is basically an exploded view of a piston and connecting rod arrangement. Arrangement are used in internal combustion engines, basically to convert the chemical energy of the fuel into the mechanical energy or rotation. So in this example, what is being shown, the piston is shown with piston pin, and then you can see different rings of the piston, and this is the piston head which is connected to this connecting rod. Okay, so connecting rod is connected to the shaft which is keyed here, so here the shaft will pass. So exploded drawing, they are easily understood, but these are only useful for assembly of different parts. And generally the numbers which are shown on any exploded drawing as shown here, they give the sequence in which each part is to be assembled together. So numbers will only represent the sequence in which you have to assemble or disassemble the part, but this type of drawing is only used for assembly purpose, not manufacturing or design purpose. Then we have schematic assembly drawing. So in the schematic assembly drawing, as the name itself is indicating, so in this case, we have schematic of each part. So there is a standard list, different components using their standard schematic. Shaft is shown using a bold line. So, okay. Then we have the clutch, the worm wheel, the shoe brake, the gears, then the electric motor. So they are shown using their schematics, not the actual views or actual orthographic projections. So the schematics are sufficient to understand the basic operating principle. So these type of schematic assembly drawings are only useful for showing the schematic schematic from the operational perspective, not the manufacturing or design perspective, using the conventional representations. So using these symbols or the schematics, we can represent a complete system to understand its working. So next we move to very important part, that is the standards in engineering drawing. So in engineering drawing, typically there are different set of standards which are being used. So these standards, these include the standards which are established by different countries, but now what we are using are the ISO standards, which are international standard or set by International Standard Organization. And in India we use the BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, as the standards for drawing different component, these drawings of different machine components. And what is done here, that the BIS is almost in most cases is aligned perfectly with the ISO standards. So in this course, we will be following interchangeably the BIS and ISO standards. So these both are aligned very well, so there are no confusions. In other countries like the US, Japan, United Kingdom, Australia, and Germany, they are using their own set of standards, but these are more or less now aligned with the international standards. So there is a uniformity all across the globe. Now, this all the main objective of any machine drawing for any component. So these drawings, they are not always stored in software. Most of the drawings, they are used when they are printed on sheets. So since these sheets have to be readily available on the shop floor to be accessed by the staff or the personnel working on the shop floor, so these drawing sheets are very important for any producing any part. So these drawing sheets, they follow a specific pattern which are known as, again, as per the ISO standards. So these all the machine drawing, they are produced on these sheets. Now what has happened with the advent of computer aided drawing, so we don't need the physical sheet to draw the component at the first hand. So instead we can select the appropriate sheet in the software itself, that we will be using the respective sheet like A3 or A2. And then once the sheet is selected on the software, we start drawing the drawing of the machine component. So Typically what is used in any machine drawing practice, so there are different drawing sheet sizes as per ISO standards as shown here, where the largest size is the A0 size. So generally what is considered, the surface area of A0 is 1 square meter. Then we have other designations of the drawing sheets which are mentioned as A1, A2, A3 and A4 so on, and correspondingly the dimension goes on reducing. So if you see here in the schematic, the A0 sheet is the largest sheet, and the A1 sheet can then be placed on half of the area, and then A2 can be placed on half of the area of A1, and similarly A3 is there, and then A4 is there. So this A4 is the same sheet as we use commonly in computer printers these days. So that is the smallest possible size on which a machine drawing can be possible. And then uh, the other sizes, they are bigger than this. So the principle is generally the length to width ratio of these sheets is 1 is to ratio of under root 2, or I can say it is 1 is to ratio of 1.414. And if you multiply both of these, so the product is generally 1. So where x and y are the sides of the sheet. So what is important here to know an approximate dimension of each of this sheet, so that if a component is given to you, you look at the rough dimensions of that component, you should be in a position to select the appropriate sheet for that component in order to draw its different views or to give the machine drawing of that component. This will only be possible when you will know what is the approximate dimension of each sheet, and you can select the right sheet properly. Then in any drawing sheet, there is a very important component which is known as the title block. So title block, it generally comes on a landscape or a portrait mode. It comes on the lower right side of that sheet. So this title block these days, it is automatically generated in the computer aided drawing software. But this title block contains very, very important information. So the title block, it contains the title. First of all, it contains the title, that what is this drawing about, what is the name of the part for which the drawing is there. Then what are the tolerances, if what is the level of surface finish, what is the material of this part, who has drawn this drawing, the name of the person, then who has checked this drawing and who has approved this drawing, on which date it was done. Then it uses the projection symbols. So please recall, we had discussed the first angle projection and the third angle projection. So as per BIS standards, or the drawings available in India, most of the industries, they follow the first angle projection. So this is basically the symbolic representation that the drawing, whatever is mentioned on the sheet, or it will be mentioned on the sheet here, will be the first angle projection. Then each of the drawing is given an identification number. So generally these drawings are stored in big almirahs, and then the almirah has specific rack for each drawing, and generally we give the number of each drawing. Then just if you want to access a particular drawing, so by looking at the rack number, we can see that particular drawing. And then important aspect of each of this drawing is the scale. So that I will discuss in the next slide, what is the importance of scale. So scales are very important aspect of the machine drawing practice. So scale, it is basically the ratio of the linear dimension of the element to what it is being represented on the drawing. So generally what happens, there are three types of scales which are used in machine drawing practice. First scale is basically the full size scale. So full size scale, as you can understand, it is 1:1. So as shown here, so there are three types of scales predominantly. So 1:1 scale is the full size scale, where you are drawing a component which is of such a size which can be shown on, say, an A3 size of sheet, or A2 size of sheet, or maybe A0 size of sheet. Okay, scale will be represented as 1:1 scale. Now there is a reduced, sorry, an enlarged scale. Type is the enlarged scale. So enlarged scale is basically, small objects. So small objects, they are being drawn on enlarged scale. So where you will basically blow up the dimension of any component proportionately, so that the intricate details are easily visible. So in that case, we will be using the enlarging scale, and the same has to be mentioned on the title block of that machine drawing. And then there is the reduced scales, where basically what we have to do is, for reduced scales, we are using the for very large components which cannot be accommodated on even A0 size of sheet. So there we will be using the reduced scales. So examples of for reduced scales, you can take example of any building. Okay, so all the building drawings, bridges, or very large structures which cannot be shown on directly shown on an A0. So there the scale is reduced, we show the drawing on the sheet. So these are different recommended scales which are being recommended as per the BIS standards for enlarged scale. So these are the recommended values, and for reducing scales, these are the recommended values. So based on the need, we can pick an appropriate scale, but the most important part is to mention the scale properly on the title block. So next important aspect of the machine drawing, or you say the engineering drawing, are lines. So in earlier days, when we used to practice or study this subject of machine drawing, we used to have different type of pencils available, like the H pencil, HB pencil, H1, H2, 3 pencil. So these pencils were used based on their graphite content. So some pencils, they used to produce a very thin line. Some pencils, without applying much force, they used to produce a very thick line. But the importance of lines is basically these lines in any machine drawing, they indicate very important aspects of that drawing. So nowadays it is the flexibility of the computer aided drawing software, in which you can pick, or the software automatically picks the right line for you. But the knowledge of these lines becomes very important when you are reading a particular drawing. So at that point of time, when you are reading a particular drawing, so it is your knowledge of those lines that will help you to have a complete picture of that component. So in machine drawing, so we have these different categories of lines which are alphabetically placed as A, B, C, D, E, G, H, J, and K. Please remember, there is no F line in between. So the A category of line, these are the continuous lines. So these are also known as the continuous lines, and these are basically used to represent visible outlines of any component. So I will show this with an example in the next slide. And so then in category B, we have the continuous thin line, which are used for different purposes, for such as imaginary intersection lines. Then these are also used as dimension lines, projection lines, leader lines, hatching, and for showing the outlines of revolved sections, and short center lines. So this also are basically thin lines which may represent one or more of these aspects of any machine drawing for a given component. Then for in category C, we have the continuous thin freehand line, which are basically used to limit limits of partial or interrupted views. So in this case, what is there? So the continuous thin line, basically they show the sections of the view, the chain thin sections of the view, and then basically we can also show them using the continuous zigzag lines. Then we have additionally in the E category, we have the dash thick line, which show the hidden outlines. So any hidden structure or the hidden details of any component, they are shown using this thick dash line. In category G, we have the thin center line, chain thin center line, where we have this kind of continuous, and then a small dash is there, then a long dash is there. So these are used for center lines, especially for symmetrical or the circular components, or also these lines represent the lines of symmetry or trajectories. In category H, we have the cutting planes. So cutting planes are basically used for showing the internal sections of any machine component. So cutting planes, they are shown using the ends of these lines. These are similar to the chain thin line, but the ends are made thick. So wherever the direction is changed, there we have the thick lines, and wherever it starts or ends, so there the thickness is higher, but in between the thickness is lower. Then we have chain thick lines, which show the indication of lines as per the special requirement. So these are not used very commonly. Then we have chain thin double dash line. They show outline of adjacent parts. They show extreme position of movable parts and the centroidal lines. So these are the different sets of line now being used in machine drawing, and the software, they automatically pick up the appropriate line to show the appropriate feature. I will show the example here. So this is an example of a moving lever. So this is basically the lever which moves 90-degree, okay, on a machine component. So you can see here that the external details of this assembly are shown using these thick lines, okay. So these are the A1 category of line which are showing the visibly thick line. Then other set of lines which such as the thin line, which is almost half thickness, 0.35 mm. This shows the hatching here. So the internal detail where the material is present or where the hole is there. So this is separated using this hatch line. Then this movement of this part from here to here, these are shown using this double dash line. Then the dimension line, again, these are the thin lines. So the thickness is mentioned here. So this basically shows the dimension of this part. Similarly, the section lines, they show the cross section of this part using this cutting plane line. This is the H category line, which shows the section, what is the section of this lever. So this section looks like an ellipse. So these are like the knowledge of these lines are very important to read any particular drawing. If you are given a particular drawing of any component, so if you will have the correct knowledge of these type of lines, you will be correctly able to read the drawing correctly and interpret it. Okay, so you will be having more exposure about lines in the subsequent slides or subsequent modules where I'll be explaining as and when they come. But this is a very typical example which has combination of all the lines, just to show you the application, how these lines are being represented on a machine drawing part. So then these lines, they also follow a set of priority. Again, in the current scenario, you don't have to, while actually drawing, you don't have to worry much about the priority. But yeah, while reading, you have to see what will be the priority of reading these lines. So generally, the outer visible lines, they are at the maximum priority. And then comes the hidden lines, center lines, sorry, the cutting plane lines, center lines, centroidal lines, and projection lines. So this is the order of priority in which the different lines have to be drawn or observed. So this is just for your information to understand the how to go about these different type of lines which are present on a typical machine drawing component. Then there are again examples of how to terminate a leader line, or the leader lines typically they show a particular feature like dimension or the outline of an object. And generally these leader lines, they start with a dot and an arrow which projects outward, or additionally they may be using a arrowhead. And arrowhead, so they also be used on the ends. And then basically we can also mention the dimension accordingly. So these are just some examples, although this is not the end, just these are some representative examples which show you how to use these type of lines in the machine drawing part. Then lettering is very important with respect to machine drawing. So lettering is specifically important to ensure the legibility of the drawing, uniformity of it, then for photocopying or other photographic processes. So in earlier days, what used to happen, we used to do this lettering manually, like we used to literally write each of these letters, but there is a specific pattern in which the letters have to be written. So generally what we have to do, we have to not do any ornamental or embellishment or styling on these letters. So these are very plain letters. So the idea is the plain letter or numerals, they have to be distinguished from each other. So there should be no confusion. So that is why we follow a very plain pattern in lettering in most of the drawing of different components. So this lettering, they used to follow or they even still follow this type of a some aspect ratio. But in the current scenario, you have to just have this information for yourself. So this is again taken care by the computer aided drafting software, which has all the specific or standard fonts in which you can take and pick it to do the dimensioning and other set of lettering on any machine drawing. uh, Next come the sections. So sections are basically very useful on any machine components to show the internal details or the inner details. So sections are produced whenever the part is the component is perpendicular to the axis using a cutting plane. So at that point of time, we will show the section of that part. Or additionally, the section may be also designated, by showing the capital letter and the direction in which it has to be viewed. So any section, it is represented by this hatching. So this hatching is shown as shown here. The hatching can be done in different ways. And generally for hatching, we use the continuous thin lines of type B as discussed earlier. And often these lines are preferred to be aligned or oriented at a 45-degree angle. Okay. And we have the parallel set of lines. Again, back in the olden days, this was done manually, and in the current scenario, using the software, just by clicking the appropriate command, the hatching is automatically generated. But you have to understand what is the importance of hatching. So importance of hatching is basically it is trying to show you the internal section or what is present inside the part. So generally the part, they are made up of different type of materials. For example, there are ferrous materials, non-ferrous materials, rubber is there, glass is there. So all these sections based on what material is used. So accordingly the sectioning is to be done. So that I will discuss. So whenever the sections have to be shown in adjacent parts, so as shown here, so the hatching pattern, they basically reverse in the adjacent parts. Okay. Similarly here you can show, if see here, if there are three parts, so typically the hatching pattern, it basically you use a slightly different hatching pattern. So in the current scenario, it is automatically done with the software, but to read a drawing, you should understand that different hatching pattern, it means that different material may be used in different sections of this assembly. Then cutting plane, we have already discussed. Cutting planes, they are basically indicated by this line of type H, and these are generally identified by these capital letters. So if this type of capital letters along with this type of a thick ended line is present, so this is basically the cut section. So how the component will look like when you cut it at that section, so this will basically reveal the internal details of this component. And x hyphen x, what is mentioned here, basically shows us what is there at this xx cutting plane. So xx here it shows the name or identification of the cutting plane. So this is now well understood that at xx, this is the cross section being projected by this cutting plane. Then in certain cases, there may be some revolved or removed sections. So in that case, generally what we do, when the cross section is removed, so generally we use the continuous thick type of lines. Okay. So if this is a crane hook, so we use this continuous thick line. And to show the cross section, we will be using this again, the hatch pattern in between. And the remove section, it can be placed nearby in using a conventional manner. So we will discuss this as and when they come in a specific machine drawing components. So here just I'm trying to give you an overview what will be the different components of any machine drawing for any given engineering component. So this is the way how we present the removed section or the revolved section. So when you will practice different assignment problems, so then that point of time things will become more clear. But at this point of time, it is more important to understand what is the purpose, or how it is being done. So suppose if this part is getting removed, so we will show that this is the removed section. Okay. And if there is a cutting plane being shown, so accordingly the plane is mentioned AA, and the part at the cross section is shown below it. Now coming to the important part is the conventional representation of materials. So in any machine components, there may be more than one material being used to manufacture different sub-assemblies or sub-components. So each and every material generally they follow a specific convention which is represented on that particular machine drawing. In case of metals, broadly we classify metals in ferrous and non-ferrous, or heavy or less heavy metals. So generally what we see, generally the ferrous materials, and to some extent aluminium and its alloys, copper also, they are represented using this convention where the hatch lines are at 45 degree. If there are other materials such as lead, zinc, tin, etc., so then we use a cross hatch pattern. Okay, so this is known as the cross hatch pattern. So if you see this cross hatch pattern on a machine drawing, so you should be able to read it as a non-ferrous material is there at that point of location. So glass is represented using this convention. Similarly, there are sometimes some packing or insulating materials are used, especially in the components which are moving parts, like shafts are there or coupling joints are there. So where there are moving parts, to damp the vibration in the moving parts, we use some packing material or insulating material. So insulating material like asbestos are there, or paper, cork, these are like soft materials. So these are represented using this type of pattern. And if there is any ceramic material present in between, like porcelain or marble, so this type of pattern is used in that case. For liquids, this is the standard representation. For wood, this is the standard representation. And for concrete, so this is the standard representation, which shows us a mixture of cement, sand, and gravel. Again, in the current scenario, this all things are automatically picked up by the software, but it is more important to understand this from the drawing reading perspective. When the drawing is given to you, how do you read it correctly? So and for that purpose, you should know what each convention means on a machine drawing. Now there are several machine components which are present, and it becomes very tedious to represent each of them in the most detailed way. So certain conventions are followed. For example, in knurling or diamond knurling, so these are different patterns which are produced on different parts. Similarly, square on a shaft or holes in a circular pitch and all. So this is basically the subject. Subject means this is the actual thing, but you see it is while drawing it, we draw it in a more simpler way. For example, in the straight knurling, instead of showing the knurling on the complete part, we will only show the knurling near the center line. So the complete representation, avoiding this complete representation will save lot of time, and accordingly we can use this type of conventions for showing different parts like bearings, external threads, internal threads, and so on. So similar way, you can explore about shafts or springs and all. So these are, again, these will be discussed in more details as and when these machine components come in front of us to draw them in more detail. Here it is just for your information that the complex subjects in machine drawing, they are represented by a simpler version in the convention. And these are standardized conventions, cannot be changed from place to place or person to person. These are standard worldwide. Just coming to the last aspect of the today's class, that is regarding the dimensioning. So in all the machine drawing, the dimensions are the main basically the main one of the main objective to know the dimension of the part. So the dimensioning is done using type B lines, as I discussed, and there may be certain other numerals or symbols which may be used with the dimension. So symbols for specifying the tolerances or surface roughness values. So more popularly, there are two methods of dimensioning in machine drawing. One is the aligned method, and there is a unidirectional method. I will just directly show you the way how it is done. So in aligned method, so if the dimension is being done horizontally, so the aspect of the alphabet also changes. In unidirectional, irrespective of the position or the dimension, either it is vertical or it is horizontal, the aspect it remains same. So generally, aligned system and unidirectional systems are used. So both are correct. So depending on which you prefer, it can be picked appropriately. And for there are certain rules for dimensioning. So certain rules, these are again not the exhaustive list of these rules. So these rules, they indicate that each dimension, it has to be, each feature, it has to be dimensioned and positioned only once. And generally the size of the dimension should be given properly, and there should be no repeat dimensions. So more rules will be discussed as and when different machine components they come up, and then basically you will have more clarity about how the dimensioning has to be done. These are some more elements of dimensioning, but means again, these are more of hands-on kind of thing, where how to place the dimension lines, or how to place the projection line properly. So you can go through these rules. Again, this is not the complete exhaustive list, but more understanding of these rules will come up as and when you do the practice in the assignment, which you will get soon to do it. So that is just an overview that I had given you today regarding the different aspects of machine drawing. And now we can have some discussion or questions if you have.